It's like working out. If you try to run, lift, stretch, swim, cycle, and do yoga all in the same hour, you're not going to get stronger. You're going to get frustrated. But if you focus on your training, that's when results come. Money works the same way. So instead of dividing your energy, focus it. Save your $1,000 emergency fund. That's your fire extinguisher. Hey friends, welcome back to the Stewards Way, where we talk about following Jesus with our money and learn how to build a life of peace, purpose, and generosity through godly stewardship. I'm Jacob, and this podcast is all about giving people the confidence to walk into their lives with hope and joy, knowing that where they are is not where they have to stay, and that where they're going is worth all the work it takes to get there. Now, if you've been following along, you know we've been laying a foundation for handling money in a way that honors God. We discussed budgeting, emergency funds, contentment, and tithing, all essential steps toward achieving financial peace. But today, we're answering a question that I hear all the time, one you may have asked yourself. Should I save money, pay off debt, or invest first? Does it matter? It's a fair question, and depending on who you ask, you'll get a wildly different answer. Some say invest early or you'll miss the compounding magic. Others scream, kill debt, you're throwing money away. And there's a little voice inside your head that just wants a little cushion in case life throws a curveball. So in this episode, we're going to unpack the pros and cons of each, and then I'll walk you through a simple, proven order, the money order of operations, that can help you move forward without getting overwhelmed or stuck. Let's get into it. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. A lot of people aren't stuck because they're lazy or irresponsible. They're stuck because they're overwhelmed. They want to do everything at once. Save money, pay off debt, start investing, maybe even all while trying to give generously and pay bills on time. And here's what happens. When you try to juggle it all, you lose momentum. You start saving $20 here, throwing $50 at a loan there, investing a little into your Roth IRA, and nothing actually moves. You're spinning your wheels, and the worst part, you're exhausted from working so hard and seeing no progress. Trying to do everything at once is one of the biggest financial mistakes I see, especially for people in their 20s. And here's why. Doing a little bit of everything leads to accomplishing a lot of nothing. You water down your progress, and it makes it easier to quit. You feel like your effort isn't working, and you burn out, not because the goal was wrong, but because the plan was scattered. The truth is, you don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do the right things in the right order. And that's what we're going to walk through in this episode. All right, let's break it down. The big three: saving, paying off debt, and investing. Each one has real value. Each one matters, but they serve different purposes. And the timing of each matters more than we sometimes realize. So let's unpack them one at a time. 1. Saving. When you're saving money, you're building what I like to call financial breathing room. You're creating margin between you and the unexpected. And if you've listened to episode 6, you already know how important an emergency fund is. But here's what saving does practically. It helps you avoid going into more debt. It gives you options in a crisis. It reduces stress and increases confidence. It's not flashy. It's not exciting, but it's essential. Imagine your car breaks down or your laptop dies, and you have no money saved. You're probably pulling out a credit card, borrowing from someone, or stressing hard. But if you've got a $1,000 emergency fund, you take a deep breath, pay for the repair, and move on with your life. No panic, no interest. Now here's the key. Saving first isn't about building wealth. It's about building stability. It's your safety net. Your first line of defense. You want that emergency fund in place before anything else. 2, paying off debt. If savings is your foundation, paying off debt is like clearing the rubble off the road so you can actually move forward. Debt, especially high-interest debt like credit cards or personal loans, is a momentum killer. It quietly steals your future income. You're working hard, and every chunk of your paycheck is going towards something from the past. Now, not all debt is the same. I get that. Student loans, for example, are different from a 25% interest Home Depot credit card. But at the end of the day, debt limits your freedom and delays your goals. When you pay it off, you free up your income. You reduce stress, you build discipline and momentum. That's why I'm a big fan of the debt snowball method. List your debts, smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate, and knock them out one by one. You build wins early, and that progress motivates you to keep going. I used to think that it was smarter to pay off high interest debt first, and mathematically that makes sense. But the debt snowball works because it's about behavior, not just math. You stay encouraged, and that matters more than the spreadsheet. So if you've got credit cards, personal loans, medical bills, paying those off after you've saved your starter fund is one of the best financial decisions you'll ever make. 3. Investing, the wealth builder. Okay, now let's talk investing. Investing is how you build wealth over time. It's how your money starts working for you, instead of you working for your money. We're talking Roth IRAs, 401ks, HSAs, mutual funds, and maybe even real estate someday. The point is, investing builds long-term freedom, but it's not where you start. Investing while you still have credit card debt or no emergency savings is like trying to plant seeds in a field that's on fire. It's not going to go well. You are constantly distracted by the flames. Why? Because when you invest before you're ready, you might have to pull the money out early during an emergency, which comes with penalties and taxes. You're not focused, you're juggling too many financial priorities. Worst of all, you're investing with anxiety instead of confidence. Now don't get me wrong, investing is incredibly important. It builds wealth, it prepares you for retirement, it gives you choices later in life, but investing without first having savings or being debt-free is a lot like building a house with no foundation. Eventually, it crumbles under the pressure. So let's recap. Saving gives you stability. Debt payoff gives you momentum. Investing gives you long-term growth. All three are good. All three matter. But the order you do them in, that makes all the difference. Let me tell you a quick story from my own life, because I've absolutely tried to do all three of these at once, and it did not go well. I remember when I was 19 and I just started to learn about personal finance, I had just discovered what a Roth IRA was, and I was so excited to start investing for retirement. I felt like a real adult, like I had finally joined the grown-up club. So I did what I thought was wise. I took all the money I had in my savings account and I threw it into my Roth IRA. And for about 2 weeks, I felt awesome. Then my car died and I had nothing saved. Suddenly, I was scrambling to figure out how to get to work. I started saving every penny I could, and I ended up borrowing money from a friend to buy a used car. So now, I had 3 financial priorities: rebuild my savings, pay off a personal loan, and keep contributing to this shiny new retirement account I had just opened. I was doing all 3, but none of them were going well. Everything was moving so slowly that it felt like I was going nowhere. I was exhausted and discouraged. I felt like a failure, even though I was technically doing the right things. And I wish I could say I learned my lesson right then and there. But I didn't. When I was 21, I ended up making a very similar mistake, except this time I was making more money, so I told myself I can handle it now. I tried juggling investing, saving, and paying off debt again, and once again it all came crashing down. My savings dried up, my momentum vanished, and everything I was working towards came to a screeching halt. That's when I realized the problem wasn't the lack of goals, it was the lack of focus. If you're anything like me, your first instinct might be, why not just do all 3? I'll save a little, pay off some debt, and invest a bit. That way, I'm covering all the bases, right? I get the logic. It feels responsible. But here's the problem. When you try to do everything at once, you end up making very little progress on any of it. Imagine you've got 3 fires in 3 rooms of your house, and you're carrying a single glass of water. If you try to pour a third of water on each fire, what happens? Nothing. They all keep burning. But if you dump the whole glass on the first fire, you go, put it out, then you go and fill your glass again and move to the next. That's focus. That's momentum. That's how real progress happens with your money too. When you try to save, pay off debt, and invest all at the same time, your savings barely grows, your debt barely shrinks, your investments don't build much. And you feel like you're doing all this hard work for nothing. Plus, and this is a big deal, it's exhausting. Your brain is constantly juggling competing goals. Your heart feels divided. You lose motivation. You second guess everything. You burn out. And the worst part? You might start thinking the plan doesn't work, when really you just didn't give it enough focused time. It's like working out. If you try to run, lift, stretch, swim, cycle, and do yoga all in the same hour, you're not going to get stronger. You're going to get frustrated. But if you focus on your training, that's when results come. Money works the same way. So instead of dividing your energy, focus it. Save your $1,000 emergency fund. That's your fire extinguisher. Then knock out your debt with laser intensity. Then build that fully funded emergency fund and start investing for your future. Simple, sequential, strategic. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do the next right thing. All right, now that we've talked about the why not all at once problem, let's get into the sequence that actually works, the one that I personally follow and recommend to others. We'll go deeper on long-term investing strategies and fully funded emergency funds soon. Today's about the order that builds peace and progress. This is a simple, step-by-step path designed to give you both progress and peace. Let's break it down. Step 1. Save $1,000, your emergency fund. We've already talked about this in episode 6, but here's a quick recap. You need a safety net, something between you and your life's unexpected chaos. That $1,000 isn't meant to cover everything forever. It's just enough to stop a minor emergency from turning into a financial disaster. Flat tire, urgent care visit, busted phone, boom, you're covered. You're not pulling out a credit card or borrowing from friends. You've got margin. This step is fast, clear, and confidence building. Knock it out. Feel the win. Step 2. Pay off all your debt using the debt snowball. Except your mortgage, if you have one. Once you've got your $1,000 saved, it's time to attack your debt. And I mean attack it with everything you've got. List all your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate. That's the debt snowball method. Pay minimums on everything. Throw every dollar at the smallest one. When that's gone, roll everything that you were paying into that one into the next one. It builds momentum like crazy. Each time you knock one out, you get a psychological win that keeps you going. Could you pay off high interest debt first? Sure. Mathematically, that makes sense. But this isn't just about math. This is about motivation. And people who follow the snowball plan are more likely to finish the journey. You don't get out of debt by being perfect. You get out by being focused. Step 3. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses. Your fully funded emergency fund. Once you're debt-free, except the house, your goal is to build a bigger cushion. Why? Because life still happens. Layoffs, health issues, car repairs. Only now you're in a better position to handle it. So aim for 3 to 6 months of expenses depending on your situation. If you're single with a stable job, 3 months may be plenty. If you have kids or self-employed or have irregular income, Aim for 6 months. We'll dive deeper into this in future episodes, but for now, just know that this is your next goal after debt freedom. This step gives you serious peace of mind. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. Step 4. Start investing and building wealth once you're debt-free and have a fully funded emergency fund. Now you can go all in on building wealth, and you're ready for it because now money has margin, and your heart has wisdom. Investing is powerful, but it's even more powerful when you don't have a pile of monthly payments eating up your income. At this stage, your money starts working for you. And that's the goal, to build a future where you're free to live generously, give freely, and make choices based on calling, not bills. There is beauty in this sequence. The magic here is order. Every step sets you up for success in the next. Saving $1,000 gives you security. Paying off your debt gives you breathing room. Building a bigger emergency fund gives you peace. Investing gives you freedom. Don't try to shortcut it. Trust the process. Stay focused. Remember, this isn't a race. It's a journey of stewardship. And every faithful step matters. Let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about personal finance. This is about stewardship. As followers of Jesus, we believe that everything we have, our money, our time, our skills, it all belongs to God. We are not owners. We're managers. And the way we manage our money reflects how much we trust our provider. Saving, paying off debt, and investing wisely, these aren't just smart financial moves. They're spiritual ones. When we save, we're saying, God, I want to be prepared for what might come. Not because I'm trying to control everything, but because I want to walk in the way you call me to and steward what you have given me. When we pay off debt, we're stepping out of slavery. Proverbs 22:7 says, the borrower is slave to the lender. Getting out of debt isn't just about math. It's about freedom. And that freedom helps us live with open hands. And when we invest with wisdom and generosity in mind, we're building a future that lets us say yes to God more often, yes to giving, yes to rest, yes to opportunities to serve and bless others. But here's what matters most. None of this is about earning our worth or security or our salvation. Jesus already secured that on the cross. He paid our debt, gave us new life, and now invites us to walk in faith, including how we handle our money. So don't separate finances from your faith. Stewardship is a form of worship. Every step you take to manage money God's way, whether it's saving $10, paying off a credit card, or skipping that impulse buy, is a step of trust. And trust is at the heart of every faithful life. This plan isn't about perfection, it's about obedience. And obedience to Christ brings peace. All right, before we wrap up, let's hit a few of the most common objections I hear when people are trying to figure out whether to save, pay off debt, or invest first. If you've ever said one of these things to yourself, or out loud, you're not alone. Objection 1. $1,000 won't do anything. What's the point? I get it. $1,000 feels small compared to thousands in debt or a giant emergency. However, the reality is that $1,000 is enough to give you space. It's enough to break the cycle of panic. It's enough to turn a car repair into an inconvenience instead of a financial spiral. Don't underestimate the power of starting small. The goal here is progress, not perfection. Objection 2. Shouldn't I invest now so I don't miss out on compound interest? Yes, compound interest is amazing. But if you're drowning in credit card debt or living paycheck to paycheck, investing isn't your biggest need. It's not either invest or never retire. It's let's clean up the mess first, so when you do invest, you can go full throttle. And when you're debt-free and not living in chaos, you'll be shocked at how quickly you can catch up and even pass people who tried to do it all at once and gave up. Objection 3. What if I can't save anything at all right now? That's real. I've been there. If your income barely covers the basics, focus on what you can control. Can you cut something out? Subscriptions, eating out, impulse spending? Can you bring in a little extra? A side hustle, a weekend job, selling unused stuff? Can you put aside even $5 a week? Saving something builds discipline. And the discipline matters more than the number right now. Don't let shame stop you from starting small. You're building a muscle, not winning a race. Here are some quick tips to keep you moving. Automate your savings. Set up a weekly or monthly transfer into your emergency fund, even if it's just $20. Use cash envelopes for areas where you tend to overspend, such as food and entertainment, to free up money for your goals and create hard boundaries to keep you accountable. Celebrate the wins. Did you pay off that credit card? Save $200? That's huge. Don't wait until you're rich to feel proud. And the best thing everyone can do, regardless of where you are in your financial journey, is budgeting. Build a budget. We talked about why it's important in episode 1 and how to build one practical in episode 3. And it's something that will come up over and over again on this podcast because budgets give you so much peace and power. So track every dollar. Awareness leads to action. If you're not tracking your spending, you're guessing. And guessing is expensive. The biggest mistake you can make is doing nothing because you feel overwhelmed. So take the pressure off. Start where you are. Take one step, then another. God doesn't expect perfection. He invites us into obedience. And wise financial decisions are a way of walking that out. So let's land the plane. Should I save, pay off debt, or invest first? The answer is yes. All of these things are good. And if you're doing any of them, you're definitely taking steps toward being a good steward. But the best way to tackle the answer to this question, in my opinion, is save $1,000, build your cushion, create peace, give yourself margin. Pay off your debt using the debt snowball. Get aggressive, knock it out, free yourself from bondage. Then build your full emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. And finally, start investing with focus, freedom, and faith. Trying to do everything at once, that's a recipe for burnout and frustration. But taking it step by step, that builds momentum. And momentum builds freedom. Remember, this isn't about numbers. It's about trust. God has given you what you need to take the next right step, not the next 10. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." So give Him your plan. Trust Him with the process, and take action today. Here's your challenge for this week. Revisit or make your budget. Decide where you are going in this journey. Do you need to save $1,000? Are you in debt payoff mode? Ready to start your full emergency fund? And most importantly, pick one goal and go all in. If this episode helped you, share it with a friend, subscribe to the show, and leave a quick review. It helps more people find hope and peace in their financial lives. And if you have questions or want to connect, hit me up on Instagram or send me an email, link in the description. I'd love to hear your story and walk this journey with you. Next week, we're talking about community and why who you're around matters just as much as what you're doing, especially when it comes to staying on track financially. Until then, remember, God is your provider. You are His steward. So build with confidence, walk in purpose, and trust the next step, even if it's small. See you next time.